All right, everyone. So again, my name is Maria Rodriguez. Welcome to this outreach event tonight conducted by the New York State Higher Education Services Corporation, or HES, which is the College Financial Aid Agency. We administer the Tuition Assistance Program, or TAP, as well as many other programs that are aimed to help students have access and pay for post-secondary education. And today we are discussing the New York State Dream Act. The Dream App opens the door of higher education to thousands of students, providing them access to the New York State Higher Education Financial Aid Program. And we are so excited to welcome our wonderful panel of experts from around the state who will help us become more or better informed about the New York State Dream Act and who is eligible to apply. I would like first to start by introducing HES president, Dr. Guillermo Linares. Dr. Linares was appointed as president of the New York State Higher Education Services Corporation in February 2018 and confirmed by the New York State Senate on May 30, 2019. Um, Throughout his life, Dr. Linares, a native of the Dominican Republic, has been committed to improve public education and is a champion on immigrant issue. And proudly, when he was elected to the state assembly, the first bill that he introduced was the Dream Act, right? So it is truly an honor to work alongside you. Every day to serve student of New York. And you are an inspiration to, the Dominican community, but I think you have done the crossover to immigrant community in general in New York State. So thank you for representing us and welcome, Dr. Linares.
Thank you, Maria, for that kind introduction. And it's so wonderful to join this distinguished panel that are in themselves leaders in their own right when it comes to giving access to education, especially higher education, to our dreamers and to our students. So it's really an honor to join them in this presentation. I want to say good evening to the panel, but also good evening to all those who are listening in or are connecting with this panel and this presentation. Senator Jose Peralta, New York State Dream Act, is something very familiar to me. And I didn't want to miss being part of the discussion and listening in this evening. It's been, it's been a dream for so many immigrant families that have worked here and face challenges as undocumented, but particularly with our dreamers when they finish high school, to see that the door has opened for them to have access to a career, to a degree, 2-year and 4-year. And so for me, it's really wonderful to see that such a dream over the years have become a reality. As the oldest of 9 children and the first to attend college, of parents who came in the 60s and lived here undocumented, and then petitioned after they got their green card. 7 of us that were left behind in a farm in the Dominican Republic. And then, having gone through landing in New York, not knowing a word of English, and navigating those years in high school, not knowing the language and without bilingual education, and graduating from college to be a bilingual teacher so that I could help students like when I arrived 10 years before. And then to be in a position to help immigrant families arriving, especially the undocumented, And while I was a teacher in Northern Manhattan, Washington Heights, and later to realize to be elected to a school board and then becoming elected to New York City government, and as the first Dominican born to be elected in the United States. I want to share that my journey has been advocating for education and advocating for the rights of immigrants. To this day, I started in 1975. This is 2024. Next year will be 50 years that I've been serving Latinos, the immigrant communities, and New Yorkers in general. So, as Maria said, when I landed in the assembly, I worked with Dreamers to help craft the legislation that I introduced as a member of the assembly, along with the late Senator Bill Perkins. We were the original sponsors in 2011. It took many years to really finally get passed. And I'm fortunate to have been appointed as president of HESC, Higher Education Services Corporation, in 2017. So when the bill that I introduced in 2011, with the help of many others that follow, the work that needed to be done to make it a reality, was passed in 2019, I was in the receiving side of getting the piece of legislation to implement the DREAM Act as president of HESC. Today, I am pleased to say thousands of Dreamers are receiving financial aid and have access to all the programs that we have, from TAP to Excelsior Scholarship and all other financial aid available in the state of New York, so that Dreamers can have access to financial aid and realize that dream of getting a degree in college. So this has been the work of communities of different background, the labor movement, the nonprofit organization, Make the Road, the New York Immigration Coalition, the Hispanic Federations. But for me, the real highlight was Dreamers helped craft the DREAM Act with me and Bill Perkins, and then working with Jose Peralta, who follow on, and many others that kept this project moving forward. So I want to say to the Dreamers, and I want to say to those who are listening now, the doors are wide open for you to benefit from what has been accomplished through great effort on our families to really get us to get an education, finish high school, and then enter the doors of higher education, the university. It's important to keep in mind you're not alone. You have a lot of people helping you in the classroom and outside the classroom to make sure you get to the finish line. And once you get that degree, to be successful in really helping yourself and your family, but also the community where you live. And that is the dream that we aspire for. So with that, I want to turn it back to Maria and say the doors are wide open of the university, both public and private. We are all aligned. This is the first time that we have a complete commitment from the governor, who has made a priority education for immigrants and for Latinos, and especially for Dreamers. And so we're all aligned and committed to your education and making sure that you're successful and you realize your dream. And that's something that we are there. We want you to know that you're not alone. We're here to help you all the way. I turn it back to you, Maria.
Thank you so much for that. It's so much history and inspiration. And now I would like to really welcome our panel member, and I would like them to introduce themselves and their organization.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natasha Torres. I am the DREAM Act coordinator here at Higher Education Services Corporation. I'm so grateful and happy to be here tonight with all of you. I just want to let everyone know I'm fairly new to this role. I began here in August. So I want everyone to know that this is the first DREAM Act event we're having in quite a while, but it's not the last. So any questions that you have tonight that you'd like us to explore deeper, please let us know everything in the comments in the chat box. We want to tailor our events to the community. We want your input. We want to hear your voice. And I'm just really happy to be here. And thank you to all our great panelists. You have such great information to share with us. With that being said, I'd like to pass it to our next panelist. Ingrid, would you like to introduce yourself and introduce your organization?
Thank you, Natasha. Good evening. Muy buenas tardes. I am Ingrid Alvarez, the Vice President for Public Policy and Strategic Engagement at Hispanic Federation. Dr. Linares, siempre un honor estar con usted. And I'd like to again center us on that long trajectory, that historical context that you provided. Thank you for your leadership and advocacy on behalf of Dominicans, but of the entire immigrant community, and acknowledging the work of Hispanic Federation and others in the trenches in 2011 to today. In making the New York State DREAM Act not only a reality, but the core equalizer in New York State for both Latino and immigrant students and families.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. Next, Alexis, would you like to introduce yourself and your organization?
Yes. Hey, everyone. Buenas tardes también. Alexis, him, Macdor, New York. Thank you for having us again, Dr. Linares. Appreciate it. As a dreamer and as a going forward, fighting for the DREAM Act, it's a pleasure to be here again. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, do we have our student advocate on? Do we have Sebastian? Are you connected?
Yes. Hello. How's it going? Buenas tardes. Yes, my name is Sebastian Paredes. I'm representing Adelante Student Voices. We are so glad to be part of this, and thank you.
Thank you all for being here, panelists. And if anyone in the audience has any question, please feel free to add them to the chat or the Q&A session. And at the end, we will try to answer as many as we can. If we don't have time to answer all your questions, we will definitely be adding them to our website, and we will share the information with everyone that is registered. So with that, Dr. Linares, you share your history of the DREAM Act and the role that you play in bringing the DREAM Act to fruition. But we cannot forget that the program is named in honor of the late Senator Jose Peralta. Is there anything that you would like to share about your former colleague and what the DREAM Act will have meant to him today?
Well, I will share that Jose Peralta was a young man when I was first elected in 1991. And he told me at one time that I was kind of the inspiration that led him to run for office. And lo and behold, when he
to honor him. And now I'm going to turn it, I'm going to ask Natasha to please provide us some detail about the DREAM Act, what the DREAM is, and then what are the qualifications, and then information regarding financial aid award amount and scholarship timeframe.
Yes, thank you so much, Maria. So before we get into more details with our panelists, I'm just going to give everybody a quick overview of the DREAM Act so we have some background information before we begin. So the Senator Jose Peralta New York State DREAM Act opens the doors to higher education This is something we find is a big miscommunication and misunderstanding in the community. So your first step is to apply for DREAM Act, be found eligible, and then please continue to apply for your financial aid applications on your DREAM Act portal. So it's 2 steps, okay? You may be wondering if you qualify for the DREAM Act. There's 3 different criteria that will determine if you qualify for the DREAM Act. The first is your immigration status. So, if you have one of the following statuses, you may be eligible for the DREAM Act. If you have a U visa or a T visa, if you have TPS, if you do not have lawful immigration status, if you are undocumented, including those with DACA status, or if you do have a lawful status such as a citizen, a permanent legal resident, a paroled refugee, but your parents live outside of New York State or outside of the country for some reason, you may be eligible for DREAM Act. So, such as a GED from New York State. So if you didn't attend New York State for 2 years and graduate high school, you can get a New York State GED instead. Or finally, there's one other option. If you are attending a SUNY or CUNY university, which is a New York State public college, and you are being charged in-state tuition for a reason other than residency, you may be eligible for the DREAM Act. Now, you may be wondering what that means, but if you are receiving them for some reason, you would probably know most students are going to fall into the first 2 criteria, which is attending and graduating in New York State high school or receiving a New York State GED. But now, let's say you meet the first 2 criteria, you have the education background and you have the immigration status. There's still one more step to be eligible for the DREAM Act. There's a time limit. So you have to apply for the DREAM Act within 5 years of earning your high school diploma or your GED. So let's say I graduated from high school in New York State in 2015. Unfortunately, I can no longer apply for the DREAM Act because my 5-year window has expired. But if I graduated in 2020, I can still apply because I'm still within my 5-year span. So that's really important to keep in mind. So if you meet all those 3 criteria, you can probably be eligible for the DREAM Act. So now you're thinking, okay, so now you get accepted to the DREAM Act, but like I said, that is step 1. Then you need to continue to step 2, which is applying for the financial aid programs. So there's lots of different financial aid programs. New York State offers so many. I'm just gonna share a few with you today. The 3 main ones that students typically apply to are a New York State Tuition Assistance Program, also known as TAP. So this is a very big popular program. It's really great for undergraduate students. You can receive up to $5,665 per year for your tuition at any New York State college. This is really important. You have to go to college in New York State. Not only do you have to be living in New York State, be from New York, but you have to attend college in New York State. So after you apply for the DREAM Act, apply for TAP. See if you're eligible. It's a really great program. You might also think about applying to Excelsior Scholarship or the Enhanced Tuition Award. So those 2 scholarships are very similar. Excelsior and Enhanced Tuition are similar. The only difference is that Excelsior Scholarship is for SUNY or CUNY colleges, which is again, New York State public universities. The Enhanced Tuition Award is for private colleges, so one that's not a New York State college. The requirements that you have to meet to receive the scholarships are going to be the same. There's credit requirements and certain requirements you'll have to meet with your college. But if you receive the Excelsior Scholarship, you will be able to attend college tuition free. Excelsior will cover the rest of your tuition after you applied for TAP and all your other financial aid. So it's a really great program. The Enhanced Tuition Award is a similar award to Excelsior, as I said, and it can give you up to $6,000 towards your tuition at a private college. So, if you have more questions about this, please look at our HESC website or feel free to come to one of our events or drop questions in the chat. But this is just a sneak peek of all the financial aid you can apply for after you're approved for the DREAM Act. Okay, so now maybe you're thinking, when do I apply? So the great news is for the New York State DREAM Act, you can apply anytime. The application is open year round. You can apply tonight to New York State DREAM Act. It never closes. But you need to be approved for the DREAM Act before you can finish your other financial aid applications. So keep that in mind. You have to do that before your other financial aid applications. So here are just a few deadlines coming up for financial aid applications. So our spring tuition assistance program, our spring TAP program, is opening this December 1st. So if you're going to school this upcoming spring, if you're going to college for the upcoming spring semester and you have not applied for financial aid yet, you can apply for the spring semester starting December 1st. For the Spring Excelsior Scholarship, we have not launched our date yet, but it will be coming out sometime in spring. Keep an eye out for that. Sign up for a text messages and I will tell you when it opens. We also have a STEM scholarship, which is really amazing. The STEM scholarship is our science, technology, engineering, or mathematics scholarship. So if you're studying any of those majors in school, you may be eligible for this. And that one again opens December 1st. And then we have so many other programs, as we said, which the launch dates vary, but all the information can be found on our website. So I would say to apply as early as you can so you get your money as early as possible. If you apply last minute, your award may be delayed because we have to process it and review it. There's a lot of students who apply. So really apply as early as possible so you can receive your award and not worry about paying for college, not worry about, oh, is my award coming in too late? Apply as soon as you can. And if you need help, we're here to help you, okay? First thing is, after you start your DREAM Act application, we have a hotline. So we have the number right here. It's 1-844-833-7129. Feel free to give them a call Monday through Friday and ask them any questions you have about your application. Additionally, on your DREAM Act portal, the site where you log in to apply, there's a green chat box in the bottom of the screen. So you can talk with a live representative there. Additionally, you can also email a New York State Dream at apply.ists.com. So there's lots of different ways. All this information is at the bottom of our Ask DREAM Act page. See, we have the box here highlighted for you. So you can always find this phone number or this email. It's there for your convenience. Additionally, as I said, we're going to be hosting a lot more events. We're going to start hosting Dreamer drop-in events where I'm going to be hosting virtual sessions. So you can make an appointment to do your dream application with me one-on-one or with all of our other amazing HESC staff. There's going to be a lot of ways for you to receive help, okay? Now it's just a sneak peek into the DREAM Act. Now we're going to go back to having questions with our panelists and really get into more information. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Natasha, for that. I think we were having some connection issue. So I hope that all this amazing information was really clear and everybody was able to hear some of the main point. And as Natasha said, we will continue to facilitate events where we will definitely provide you with information about the different application. We, that is our role to make sure that you are able to navigate the financial aid process without the challenging and question that comes up. But now let's continue with our amazing panelists. And I have a question. Our community-based partners have been instrumental in helping us reach the students and family who can benefit from the DREAM Act. They serve as the bridge between the community and HESC, and we are so grateful for that. We know that there are some myth and misinformation about the DREAM Act, and they have helped us get the fact to our to the communities that can benefit from this program. And beginning with you, Alexis, I would like to ask you, has there been continued hesitation within the immigrant community to provide information for the New York State DREAM Act? And if so, what advice would you offer those who that still have concerns?
Thank you, Maria. Yes, we have worked with a group of students, and we also have our colleagues with Bushwick campus, which is a community school. We did have seen now that we recently have families that come in and newcomers, there has been hesitation of what was or what are their immigration status. I know there has been a procedures of different process of legal services, and the concern of like this being safe to apply for the New User Dream Act. And the one advice that I can offer is get in contact with your local community center, be able to like get in touch with your vice counselor at school, get in touch with the CUNY, SUNY university you're applying for. Even I know that the process of adjusting to status, it's a little process a little difficult. We know and we attend that we welcome you or welcome everyone like to apply for the New User Map regardless of your immigration status, and be able to be feel safe. One of the things that we also have seen is like the 2-year requirement. We know that a couple of students has only been here for 1 year and a half. By the time they graduate and become a senior, they meet the requirements or maybe did not meet the requirements. So I would just also recommend again to just talk to an advisor in your school or any community center, or you can also feel free to reach out to the New User Dream Act, which is they email them and they have been very responsive in some way. That's one of the miscontinued hesitation that we have seen.
Thank you. Ingrid, would you agree, or would you like to add anything to this question?
Absolutely. So I want to thank Alexis, right, for both being here as a dreamer and leading by example, but two, right, sharing your experience, right, boots on the ground and what it's really like is important. You know, from an advocacy and a public policy perspective, there is no doubt about the fair amount of hesitation in our communities as of late. And I would say as of 2016, right, with the anti-immigrant rhetoric and policies that are real and have direct impact on immigrant communities in our state. With that said, and I want this to be translated loud and clear, or having simultaneous translation. There's a difference between a state act and federal programs. And I want to communicate the fact that the New York State Dream Act as a state act, an initiative, is protected by New York State privacy laws. And that despite immigration status or lack thereof, the sharing of information, your information that is required for you to take advantage and opportunity, right, of this pathway to higher education does not harm you in any way. Two very different systems, right? And in New York, there are privacy laws that protect every single resident in this state, including undocumented individuals and communities. And so that, I hope, helps because it shouldn't be a deterrent from applying for the New York State Dream Act. The other part, and I think Alexis alluded to it a little bit, is the transparency in the cultural and linguistic competence, right, of the way that the things that are made available to our communities. I often say just because something is made available doesn't make it accessible, right? And I know that, Alexis, you were rattling off some of the trusted spaces and sources at CUNY and at SUNY and even at private institutions, right? Where you can go for guidance and information in a cultural and linguistic competent manner. And that starts with community-based organizations and the type of outreach and partnerships that exist, both in campuses as well as an extension of, right, higher education institutions. I know that throughout the course of the webinar, we will have the opportunity to go into the webinar chat and drop some resources, and I will do the same. And so as the Federation, as Hispanic Federation, we represent over 100 plus Latino serving and leading organizations across the state. And wherever there's a college campus across New York, there is a community-based organization that can lend that cultural and linguistic competence, and oftentimes the direct support and guidance to students and families in being able to actually fill out the New York State DREAM Act paperwork and application, as well as the FAFSA, or get them in contact with people like Natasha.
Thank you for that. And now I just want to invite Sebastian. How does being part of an organization where your peers share experiences and how can that help you fuel trust and promote success?
Well, thank you, Maria. I have to say that, well, we receive people every year, and since it is a closed circle, you really feel safe to share and actually be yourself. In addition, there are so many types of people from different countries and cultures that have so many things to share, and the trust and empathy are very present, which actually allows people to share their stories that are real stories, often tragic, that inspire us and create stronger bonds between us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I just want to move on and ask Natasha, what step has taken to address this concern regarding applicant confidentiality?
Yes, thank you. Ingrid pointed out a great point, talking about how there are privacy laws in place. However, in addition to that, HESC has taken a lot of measures to really promote the privacy and safety of our dreamers. One thing I can say is our dreamers and our non-dreamers, when we share awards to colleges, when we tell them about your TAP awards, we share it all together. We don't share dreamer awards and non-dreamer awards separately. So if you have TAP award and you're a dreamer, it's going on the same file as a non-dreamer TAP student. So we do not differentiate to them if you're a dreamer. Furthermore, when we report your award to them, we use your student ID number. So they do not have any indication of your social. If you don't have a social, they do not know. That's why we really need your student ID when you give it to us to be correct. That's an issue we see a lot, which we'll get into in a little while. But we don't tell them anything about your dreamer status. We protect your social. And the only way they would know you're a dreamer is if you tell them. And a lot of times we do see students talking to their financial aid office, reporting that they are dreamers, and if they feel safe to do that, that's wonderful. But we would never tell them that, and your information is protected from us. So I just want you to feel really safe and know that the only way your school is going to know is if you tell them that you have a DREAM application.
Thank you.
And Maria, if I may, because
yes.
I think Ingrid, you highlighted the fear factor, and Natasha, you touched on it, and this is something so critical because one of the biggest challenge we had when we introduced in 2019 the DREAM Act was protecting the privacy of dreamers, particularly with a fear that sometimes comes across through the media or through other representatives in power. We make sure that we switch the system of the Social Security number, which was the identifier for all students, and we made it a numeric student ID number for the entire universe of students in New York State. That was not a small task. It was huge, but we knew that we needed that to ensure that not only what the law says, that we have to protect the privacy of students, but anybody who wanted to try to find a way of identifying those students who were dreamers, we wanted to go that extra step to make the clear message to students that are dreamers and their families that their information is protected and is private, and no one has access to them beyond us. So I want to emphasize that because it's critical for students to know that your information is protected, but also we have taken measuring steps to make sure that no one has access to them.
Thank you so much for adding that, Dr. Linares. And in continuing with our question, I would like to also invite Natasha. We know that the eligibility is determined and an award amount are calculated based on the responses to the application questions. What do you find are two areas where there are maybe confusion on how to respond? What steps have been taken to address each of those issues?
Yes, thank you, Maria. So an issue we see a lot is students get confused about student dependency status and their household income. So that's largely what determines your award amount. A lot of students think if they are an independent student, if they are not dependent on their parents, that they will receive a larger award. But that is not necessarily correct.
Maria, if it's okay, well, Natasha,
Then
oh,
the
there she
income
is.
limit.
You froze a little bit, Natasha, so I was gonna jump in there just to keep us going.
Please feel free to do so. Ingrid, it was
Is she, I'm not
I
sure if
think
Natasha's still
Natasha,
frozen.
yeah.
I thought you were taking over, Ingrid. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, so you know
No.
what? No, I was gonna let you finish. I'm glad, welcome back. I know you just froze there for a little bit and you know, just to sort of keep us going with the agenda.
Oh, yes.
From the top, yeah.
So if I'm an independent student, the household income for TAP limit is $30,000 per year. But if it's based off my parents' income, if I'm a dependent student, the household income limit is $125,000 per year. So sometimes students will apply as an independent student and they make too much money. They all make $40,000 a year and then they won't get approved. So I would say to really look at our website carefully when applying and make sure that you understand the dependency status and make sure you understand the income limit. And of course, like I said, we're going to be hosting a lot more events, including Dreamer sessions, where you can come in and ask for help in applying. So you can meet with us to answer these questions when applying. You can also meet with community-based organizations, as our partners were saying, but just be careful because I don't want you to click the wrong dependency status thinking you're going to get more money, but then really you're not even eligible anymore for the award.
Thank you. And now, Ingrid and Alexis, please, what are other areas that you see students and families struggle when completing the application?
So I want to actually, Natasha ended on a really good point. So just to students and parents in this audience, no one should be charging you money to help you fill out any of these forms and provide guidance and assistance, right? And so I just wanted to highlight that. Too, there's a robust network out there, as Alexis and I alluded to in the previous questions around community-based organizations, trusted community-based organizations who can provide not only the hands-on support, but the cultural and linguistic relevance and support for non-English speaking students and families. That's a real barrier. And oftentimes, even when we are bilingual, the legalese and the Google Translates sometimes don't translate that well, right? And so when we're looking at forms and navigating systems, the Spanish is not always the same, right? And so I think that that's a barrier. But in addition to that, the education and the capacity building around building financial literacy and working with families and students to get them to this point is a really critical point. And I think that that's where community-based organizations play such a critical role in the space. You have organizations, many of our member agencies at Hispanic Federation and the Federation itself, for example, or Make the Road. Actually, Adelante Student Voices is one of the partner organizations in a lead coalition, which is our Education Advocacy Coalition. So we work together in the space and we try to geographically reach as far and wide as possible. But for example, I want to talk about what exists on college campuses that provide this support. And so Right now, they're through Pathways for Excelencia, which is a virtual K through 12 parent and student in financial literacy engagement program. The resources and the education around how to prepare for higher education. And then once you're there, whether you're a dreamer or not, right, or an immigrant or not, just as a student of color, first time, full-time student attending college for the first time. We have a Crear Futuros program, which exists on both CUNY and SUNY campuses, and at 13 colleges and universities across the country, with California being the most recent at the Federation. I will drop those resources in the chat as well. But when we're talking about, right, finances and financial literacy, for full-time, first-time students, and especially students with diverse immigration status, we have to take into account we don't all file with the IRS the same way. And so unlike US citizens who use a social security number with the IRS, there's an ITIN number, an individual tax ID number. And I think that there's also a lot of misinformation and confusion around students either filing independently, not filing at all, right? Accessing an ITIN number, and I don't know if Alexis or Sebastian may have anything to contribute here in their own personal experience. I don't know how many high school seniors, dreamers, for example, get to senior year and say, oh, I need to apply for an ITIN number. You usually don't know that. You don't need that to enroll in school. You don't need that to graduate from high school, but it becomes a very real part of your young adult life as you navigate higher education and accessing financial aid.
So Alessi and Sebastian, do you guys have anything to add?
Yeah, I could jump in as well. I feel like families, and where I come from as well, we have seen like our family struggle for like putting the bread in the table. I think it's a lot of like street vendors, like have more businesses where they get paid in cash, and they're like the income can go either can be high, can be low, or it can just be unstable. And we have seen like families struggle with getting the right income when it comes to applications, because I know there has been like additional questions, or like Ingrid mentioned, like being a student and getting to your senior year and not knowing that you have an IT number, or not able to like be able to have one, have access to one, because there has been very limited ways to get an access to one. So I think also parents are not really full confidence on giving that type of information to everyone. If your student comes and like and asks your parents, "Oh, can I work? Would I be able to access the tax form?" As parent, I was being concerned of like, sharing that information, because it's a application that is going to be shared to the state. But we tell the families that everything is going to be saved. And, like we have, there has been language saying that everything's going to be like all the information is not going to be shared to like the federal agencies. And just making sure like the families be able to understand that this is a process that is going to help benefit their students. And yeah, I will just leave it to Sebastian if you have anything else on that.
Yeah, I feel like you pretty much said everything, but just to add that, like in my own personal experience, when I was applying to college, I didn't know what the ITIN number was until a very late stage. And it actually made me struggle a little bit, not knowing what it was and how to get it. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
No, and one thing that I would like to add here as a financially, especially where I used to attend, different high school to help student complete application and talk about financial aid program. It was amazing for me to also see a lot of students when they were starting the process of applying for college. That's when they knew that they were here undocumented. So then that will also add another layer of issue for those students. So there's so many issues that we definitely, definitely have to tackle, but that is one as well, that a lot of students come a very early age and they don't even realize that they're undocumented until they start the process of applying for college and applying for financial aid. So, and with that, I want to ask Natasha, once someone has been notified that they are eligible for an award such as TAP, are they assured that they will receive the award, or are there common issues that might prevent them from receiving the award?
Yes, so there are issues we see. So one of the main issues is students putting the incorrect information on their application will prevent their college from receiving their award. If you put down you're attending Hunter College and then you end up going to a community college instead, if you don't update that, your community college will never receive your award. So, you can contact us to fix that, and that's an easy fix that will work with you to resolve. But just keep that in mind, that you need to make sure that, one, you put the correct information, or number two, you have the correct contact information on your application so we can contact you. I've been contacting students recently about telling them, this information on your application cannot be verified, so your school is not getting your award. And then if they answer, we can resolve that quickly and we can move forward and they receive it. But if I have no way of contacting them, if they have the wrong information and the wrong contact information, it's really hard to support a student. Additionally, something else we see is students may not receive their awards if their college reports to us that they are academically ineligible. So at the end of the semester, your college will come to us and tell us if you were academically eligible or not, and if you can receive the award. So if you received a $2,000 award from us and we report it to your college, and then your college says, they weren't eligible anymore, we have to rescind the award. So I would say to be in contact with your college's financial aid office and keep communication open with them. If they're struggling in a class, talk to your college and ask them, if I don't do well in this class, will it affect my award amount? Because they are there to support you, and it is their job to tell you to look at your schedule, look at your courses, and tell you how it's going to affect your award status. So those are my tips. I'd say have the correct contact information so we can help you, and keep a good contact with your financial aid office so you can make sure you're in good academic standing to get your awards.
Thank you, Natasha. And this question is for Ingrid and Alexis. Given that the government agencies do not typically offer full cost of attendance award, what other opportunity can Dreamer pursue to help them pay for college?
That's a great question. I don't know if Alexis or Sebastian wanted to go first. Yes, no. I dropped in the chat in anticipation for this question, a list of resources. And it gives me an opportunity. Soy dominicana, yo hablo bien rápido a veces. To slow down, pull back. I mentioned something called Crear Futuro. So if you go to the HispanicFederation.org website, there you can navigate all of the terms I've dropped in the chat. Crear Futuros is it's a first-time full-time college student designed program to specifically target the student audience in this webinar and others, right? I am a first-time full-time, the first one in my family to graduate from college, right, in New York State. And so Crear Futuros is an initiative that not only offers the mentoring, but it's important to put your money where your mouth is, right? As Sebastian highlighted, or I think it was Alexis, right? Students are contributing members to that household income to put bread, to put that, food on the table, right? And we acknowledge that because we share in that experiences. I don't know about you, Maria, right? We share in that experience, I think, as a community as a whole. And so we pay. Right, so there's a college education award through that program. That program exists at multiple CUNY and SUNY colleges. Again, if you go to the resources in the website I dropped in the chat, it's a really user-friendly website. Our website is also in English and in Spanish. And so you can find some of the specificity. most likely than not, on one of the CUNY campuses that you will find in the Crear Futuro's participating list will have a campus liaison, that whether or not you're a Crear Futuro's mentor or you're officially part of the program, that if you showed up seeking assistance or seeking help to fill out your New York DREAM Act application, right, for TAP, and they'll help you. There'll be somebody who's either filling that application out themselves, who is receiving support from someone through the Crear Futuro's cohort, and can help you out. I think that it's critically important to honor what Natasha just said, information, having access to the information, and knowing when to use it, honoring those deadlines, knowing when those timeframes and those deadlines are, so that then you can navigate and go and find and seek assistance, because it is on campuses and it is out in community. And so I highly encourage everyone to take a look at the stuff I dropped in the chat. There are live links. I know that the team at HESC will also share after the webinar.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to add to what Ingrid was saying?
Yeah, I can jump in as well. We have worked along with other organizations as well, and we are still on process working on scholarship guideline. We also have a Instagram account. I can list those in the chat as well. And we also, when we do workshops and community basis or schools, we also highlight the fact that even CUNY or SUNY has emergency funds where it can be also accessible for like regardless your immigration status, so students who can be part of those funds. Then also there's immigration student centers which are available in certain colleges that you can just if you were registered in that college, if you're going to be attending to that college, you can also be part of those benefits as well. And along with other organizations like the Hispanic Federation and others like organizations that we have been in New York City, I think there has been like other scholarships that you can be access with. And as Ingrid mentioned, the deadline is always important. So if you have to do a personal statement, if you have to do a financial statement, just making sure like you get helped revise it and make sure like Google Translate it. It's not always useful, but it helps a lot. But it's always help that someone else just like revise your AC before you submit it.
It's amazing that you just mentioned Google Translate. I just used that and got in trouble. So it's not a great translation tool, but it's a start. And again, we are also providing a lot of event where we go over the financial aid process. We also are facilitating that presentation in Spanish. So I will definitely be sharing that information with all of you, because we know that is needed so that family are comfortable not only applying for one individual program, but that there are many programs that they might be eligible to apply and receive additional aid. So, and with that, I just wanted ask Sebastian if he can share how the DREAM Act has impacted his life.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. Well, I gotta say that me personally, it allowed me to, of course, get into my dream college, and it made actually the process way much easier, considering that I didn't have to worry as much about the financial part. And it also allowed me to concentrate more on some most important aspects of my life, like my studies, as well as my family and my job. Plus, if I can add on that, it just feels great to know that there are people who are, fighting and supporting the undocumented students and give them access to benefits that we normally wouldn't have. Thank you.
And if Maria, I just like before we close or before I sign off, I want to say, we started with a DREAM Act so many years back, and I'm so proud to see 3 dreamers participating in this panel, Sebastian, Alexis, and Natasha. along with Ingrid, representing two institutions that were critical as I introduced the DREAM Act in 2011. Make the Road and the Hispanic Federation. There were many others. But, you know, it is, for me, so refreshing and it's inspiring for me to see that where we started and where we find ourselves. I just want to thank you, Maria, for, you know, the work you do with the team at HESC. And I know that Natasha, starting off, but she's already hit the ground running as part of a larger team. And I want to say something to those who are connecting. When you apply for the DREAM Act, don't think that this is a scholarship. The DREAM Act is the key that gives you access to all of the scholarship that we have, all of the programs that we have for all students across New York, for you to be able to apply. And the biggest one is the TAP program. Is over, I mean, it's over $700 million every year that we distribute. But that's not all. We also have the Excelsior Scholarship, and we have other type of scholarship that you have access to. And we are here to really help you in the language that you speak. We have dreamers that speak multiple languages. There is help in whatever language you speak or your family speaks. And you have so much help, starting with your guidance counselor in high school, but also with the organizations that are represented in this panel. And so many others that are ready and willing to help you. Accessing the website, HESC website, is key, because whatever you need access to, you could get it through that website in addition to the organization that we partner with. Whether you want to attend public colleges and universities or private colleges and universities. The assistance we provide is for you to enter a 2-year college, a 4-year college. And by the way, now we have the TAP program available for part-time students, because you don't have to attend full-time in order for you to get financial aid. We even have it, we just started this academic year to provide financial aid for non-degree students. When you want to, you're not going after a degree, 2-year or 4-year, we also now have funding for students to really get specialized or non-degree credential that will get you a job at the end of that. So the door has opened much wider, and dreamers have access to all that we have available in the state of New York. Take advantage of it.
Thank you, Dr. Linares. And I know that it's 7:04, and you know, I would love to respect everybody's time, but I was just wondering if we can maybe take 2 questions. Piper, maybe
Sure.
question that you feel that were not answered during the presentation or the discussion.
Sure. Are dreamers still able to work through DACA? Which organization can help them with the process?
This is a great question, and I'll let the CBOs go into more detail about this, but I will say applying to get financial aid should not affect your work authorization through DACA. That is completely separate. This is just getting financial aid for college, and it does not affect your DACA status. I will let the CBOs give more information about that.
Yeah. If the question is specific to DACA and immigration, again, whether it's Hispanic Federation or Make the Road or any of the other partner organizations, go to HispanicFederation.org. One of the things I highly recommend is that any student, whether documented or not, or whether they believe that right, that, or they're in the process of having to renew their DACA, which is really critically important, seek a nonprofit organization that is Bureau of Immigration Appeal accredited. Be careful with notarios. Be careful with people that will take your money and say that they will fill out paperwork. The best advice, and it's not legal advice because I am not an immigration attorney, is go to HispanicFederation.org, search the website for which nonprofit organizations in your region are Bureau of Immigration Appeals, which means that it is a nonprofit organization that is recognized by that Department of Justice and Homeland Security to be able to provide either no fee to really low cost immigration legal advice to Dreamers, documented, and other immigrant individuals in our community. So that's the best advice.
Thank
But
you.
like
And
Natasha said, it doesn't prevent you from applying for the New York State DREAM Act.
thank you, Ingrid. If we have time for another question, what if the student arrived last year in December and finished high school this year? Is he okay to apply for the DREAM Act?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. What if the student arrived last year to the US in December and finished high school this year? Is he okay to apply for the DREAM Act?
So unfortunately, you do need to attend a New York State high school for 2 academic years. I saw that question a lot in the chat. It's 2 academic years and graduate from New York State high school. However, and it is always an option to also, in addition to getting your diploma, to getting a GED, a New York State GED. I'm not suggesting that's the best path for everyone, but that may be a pathway that you should explore and talk with your high school guidance counselor, talk with your family about, and see if that is a good option for you. Because if you do not go to high school in New York State for 2 years, you don't need to be in New York State for 2 years to get your New York State GED. And that's just your high school equivalency diploma. I would really talk that through with, your family members in your high school and see if that's a good option for you. But that can be a loophole if, you weren't in high school for 2 years to still be eligible for the DREAM Act.
And you just to add to that, when you get your GED, all New Yorkers need to establish residency for 1 year. They need to have lived 1 year in New York State to qualify to apply. That's all students. Including Dreamers who get the GED, as you explained. So as long as you have 1 year, you demonstrate residency for 1 year within New York State and you have your GED, you can apply.
Thank you, Dr. Linares. We have another question coming through. What steps are being taken to improve the DREAM Act, both to strengthen and execute quickly?
That is a great question. We are working overtime. We're working very hard to get as much resources out as possible. I encourage you all to send us all your comments, your questions. We did put our contact information here. Don't be afraid to message me or message the DREAM Act hotline multiple times. Even if you feel like you're bothering us, you're not. We may just be overwhelmed by the volume, but we want to hear your feedback and we want to improve it based on what you're telling us. So we do have plans in place to release a lot of resources on our website to help you through the application and clear up these miscommunications to you. But like I said, tell us everything you're experiencing. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel like you're annoying anyone. No, you need to speak what's going on and we want to make it better for you. So please, we are actively trying to improve it and we love hearing everything that the community is telling us.
And I want to add to that.
I was gonna, go ahead, Dr. Linares. I was gonna make a shameless plug for the advocacy.
Oh, go ahead, please.
No, please. If that was what you're gonna do, I'm gonna, as the public policy person here in the space,
Yeah.
for every student and parent and ally in and on this webinar, the New York State DREAM Act didn't happen without advocates, without advocacy work, without showing up without testifying, without sharing the stories. And that is a critical component of the work that oftentimes is very much behind the scenes and nobody really sees unless you're in the weeds in that work. And every single year, students and parents and advocates and nonprofit organizations advocate in Albany and to the executive branch and in many ways, right? I could also share and drop in the chat all the ways that folks can get involved in ensuring that the New York State DREAM Act, not only is it what we call baseline protected, funded fully, and expanded to serve even more students in New York State.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Linares.
Yes, and what I wanted to echo on what you said, Ingrid, is that we have very strong partners within the office of the governor and in my agency, beginning with the network of nonprofits that are represented here this evening in this panel, but also working very closely with a commissioner of education who happens to be a Latina and that I know for decades. And she oversees all the high schools across the state of New York. I work very closely with the two chancellors for SUNY and CUNY, and as well as CICU, which is the Commission on Private colleges and universities in the state of New York, and the private colleges as well. So there is a strong partnership that we have that really makes sure that we serve the students, especially dreamers, and their families. And I think that that's one of the things that I think excites me a lot. I want to thank Piper, who was the one posing the question on behalf of those that are listening, for her leadership also in helping us really reach out to students and families across the state of New York from our agency.
Thank you, Dr. Linares. We have another question coming on about, is this recording going to be available after tonight? Yes, of course. We are recording this. We are going to send it out to all of the attendees after the event. But it will also be available on our YouTube channel. So we'll put the link when it's available in the email that goes out to attendees. I got another question. I don't have a GED yet, but I get it by November. Can I still apply for the DREAM Act? Oh, go ahead.
You can begin your DREAM Act application and you can finish everything except uploading your GED. You can do everything else and it will stay pending review until you receive your GED, and then you can upload it to your DREAM Act portal. And then once you upload that and everything else is there, it will be approved. I would say to do everything else as soon as you can. So once you receive it, it's less stress for you and you can just upload it and everything else will have time to be processed. Okay?
Great, thank you. I think that's it for the questions in the Q&A. If anybody has any other questions, please feel free to reach out to HESC. As Natasha said, she is the specialist. She started in August, and we're really happy to answer any questions that you have moving forward regarding the DREAM Act.
Thank you so much, everyone, and great question. And I just would like to give the opportunity for the panelists, for Dr. Linares to say some last word before we close this event today.
Well, I will begin by thanking every single one of the panelists, you, Maria, as well, and Natasha, Ingrid, and Alexis and Sebastian. Thank you so much for all that you do. You're closer to the grounds with dreamers and with their families, and this is extremely crucial and critical in helping us fulfill the dream of making higher education accessible and a reality for all our dreamers. Thousands of dreamers are now receiving financial aid, thousands. I can say here that is over 4,000 dreamers are now receiving financial aid because of the DREAM Act. And I think so much work was done to make this possible. But I want to thank, it's an honor for me to participate in this panel. And I want to encourage all listening to take advantage of so much help that's available in your own language to go through those doors and see the finish line with that degree.
Wonderful. Anybody else, please? If not, I just want to thank everybody. I wish everyone that attended this panel discussion a good night, and I hope to see you in some of our future events. I encourage you guys to go to our website where we have a list of events that we are hosting, and I seek to see you in some of those future events. Thank you and have a good night.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining. We look forward to hearing all your questions, getting all your feedback, and hopefully supporting you to receive your financial aid. Thank you to all our panelists. Thank you so much, Maria and Piper, and Dr. Linares, of course. It was a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Sure.